Okay. It still says preview for me.
Oh, does it? Mine says
Oh,
live.
we're live.
We're live.
Finally says live. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to Unfiltered After 50. I am Stephanie. That's LeAnne. I pointed in the right direction. I don't know why.
It's so funny because in my when I'm looking at it, you're pointing the wrong direction. You're
okay. Oh, funny. Yep. So we like to get together every Thursday, 3 p.m. my time, which is Eastern, 12 her time, which is Pacific, and we just like to chat about things in a very candid way from the perspective of some feral housewives who are over 50.
exactly.
So one of the reasons why I was late is because I wanted to have a smoothie for our talk. Although it's kind of like awkward to have a smoothie when you're having live talk because it's all over your mouth. But I wanted to have a smoothie because I just got these smoothies from Happy Viking, Venus Williams brand, and I wanted to try them for the first time. But I always use my Vitamix, and I forgot to clean it. Like I always forget to clean it. I don't know why that happens. And they're hard to clean too, but I don't know. Like last night I made dal and I forgot to clean the blender. So I got to it and I was like, I think like 5 minutes before showtime. Does that ever happen to you?
No. Because I hate when that happens so much. Mm-hmm. Right? So as soon as I finish cleaning, like scraping out whatever it is that I've made in the Vitamix, I fill it with water. And I'll put a little bit of soap in there just immediately because I can't. I do that even like I steam my vegetables. So my steamer, like if you leave the vegetables like sweet potatoes or anything like starchy sitting in there, well, I mean even beans will, like green beans, they'll stick to it, right?
Oh, yeah.
It'll dry and it drives me nuts. So I soak that as soon as I cook.
Yeah, I hate that too.
Yeah.
But now, look, I've got it's not in water because I had a rush over here, but I also had like leftover. This stuff is so good.
Is it?
Yeah, well, I didn't try it straight. I froze a banana for it's not really frozen. And then I put some ice cubes and some peanut butter powder. Have you ever used peanut butter powder? Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe it has some questionable. I like it because it doesn't have all the fat.
Right.
But it does have seed oils.
I can't do peanuts and things like that because of lectins, because of my leaky gut problems and stuff.
I totally forgot. But this is really good. I'm addicted. I'm totally addicted.
So it's a powder that you add some fruit to, or? That's a fair skookum amount. I have tea in my Harmony mug. That's it. It's actually wedding tea. Our kids, when they got married last year, they made they didn't make the tea, but they bought some loose tea and they made little tea bags for all of their guests. Yeah, so of course it's lovely. It's a lovely tea. I'm not sure which one this is. They made two different ones, and I don't know which this one is, but it's good. It's nice. It's herbal. It's good.
I mean,
Ooh.
I do have mint, and I had lemon balm at one point.
Mhm.
I mean, it wouldn't be hard, but
Mm-mm.
lemon balm grows really easily.
So does mint. It's
Mint,
very
yeah,
invasive. It goes everywhere.
right. I have it in my yard. I'm actually getting some in my little pavers. Gonna have some Corsican mint go through it because it's
Ooh,
very. Hopefully, it
cool.
won't. Well, it doesn't matter if things invade anything here.
No, exactly. Oh, I didn't notice. Hi.
I think we're planning on talking about.
Talking about something that neither of us, yeah, that neither of us really know that much about.
No, we don't really know about like the shadow work, like
No,
or the parenting that. But I know a lot about. I know my inner child pretty well.
that's
She
awesome.
and I are like best friends because when I was a little kid, I had to be alone a lot because I was
Mhm.
weird. So I got to know
Because I
myself.
was weird. Is that what you tell your inner child regularly? You know, you're weird, but I
I
love
tell
you.
I tell her because she didn't think she was weird. She thought she was a freak. And
Oh,
yeah,
so
and like in the 70s, well, I guess freak was cool in some ways, but not to like a little child.
no.
So if I were to go back and tell my inner child, I'd be like, "You're not a freak. You're just weird." And weird means different, interesting. You're like, yeah,
Unique.
yeah. I feel like I need a napkin just in case.
Okay, I'll hold down the farm here. Don't really have anything to say. Oh, there you go. That didn't take long at all.
Need to like have some. I need to control it
There you
here
go.
because it's like a thick shake.
It is very thick.
Yeah.
So I love that you have such a close relationship with your inner child.
Oh,
How did you develop that?
I'm sorry.
Did I freeze? I was just, oh, hi, Meredith. Your hair, oh, just a quick hi. I'm heading out shortly. Hugs. Oh, hugs back to you too. I was just saying that
I
it's
go.
it's very cool that you have such a good relationship with your inner child, and I'm just wondering, how did you develop that? How did you, yeah, create that or
But
hone that?
well, by being weird, I mean seriously. Like when I was little, I didn't really have a lot of friends, and I was very much into daydreaming. And I had me. I really had me. And I also feel because I was bullied early on that I kind of toughened up. I developed some fortitude, and that made it so I was more immune to social control later.
Mm,
So there's some studies that indicate that around fourth grade is a time when kids lose their creativity, and they lose it because like teachers will say, skies aren't skies aren't pink or whatever. Skies are every color, so it's like a stupid thing to say, but you know,
hmm
skies aren't that color, and people aren't purple, and like teachers start correcting kids, and then their peers make fun of them too, and so kids become really they lose their creativity. They become afraid,
hmm
just to express the
hmm
way they want to express.
hmm
And I kind of missed that because by that time, you know, I was already, I just, I don't know, my creativity wasn't killed. I know I'm kind of conflating the two, creativity and inner child, but I think that you have to have that fearlessness that comes with creativity, or you have to have fearlessness to obtain creativity. It's the same fearlessness to kind of reach back into your inner child, because your inner child is your fearless state of being, I think.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's really cool. And yeah, it is around grade 4. I mean, I moved so much when I was young. By the time we moved back to Canada in grade 4 for me. And I know, oh, you froze this time. You've got your hands on your glasses. What was the question? Sorry, I didn't get it. Were you asking where I lived?
I'm laughing because I can only imagine how that looked like, like
You just had your hands on your head, like.
All of a sudden, glasses appear.
It's like, where'd those come from?
Where did you live before you moved to Canada?
Well, I am Canadian, so started off in Canada. All my family's all Canadian, but we moved to New Zealand when I was in grade 1, and we lived there for 2.5 years. So, and while we lived in New Zealand for those 2.5 years, I went to 3 different schools in Auckland and Hamilton. No, never went to school in Auckland. Sorry, Hamilton, and then out in Ohaupo, a farming community. And then we moved back to Canada just before I entered grade 4. So grade 4 was a very significant year for me. It's just interesting that you talk about development and stuff like that, because we moved back to Canada. So that was a huge change. I came in with an accent because I had learned how to read and write in New Zealand, and being immersed in school, I picked up a Kiwi accent. So when we first moved back, I had an accent, and we were back in our home country, but it was a new country to me, right? A new location and new way of doing school. I mean, like, it was just like a lot of different, a lot of changes. And I remember it being a really, probably grade 4, 5, and 6 were probably some of the hardest. Well, all of school was hard, but those were really hard years for me. I don't look back on that with fondness at all. It was really hard, and you do, like, just talking about that inner child stuff. It's like, it just makes me, I've never done a lot of inner child work.
Yeah.
I've done a little bit, and to be honest with you, she doesn't really like to talk to me. She's quite hidden. Although I've spent a lot of time being very tender and caring with her, because I know she needs it. But if you're talking about those years, grade 4 especially, it was a hard year for me. So it's no wonder that she likes to stay hidden.
Yeah. Oh.
And, yeah. So
we got to find a way to get her out of her shell. I'm sure if I came to visit you,
I don't know,
because I've always been kind of good at getting the inner child out. I mean, it's to the point that it annoys people. Like my little brother and sister, I was like, let's get a shopping cart and, like, let's go down the sidewalks and, put you, like, things like that. Or one of the things that I used to do for fun, and I did it with my little brother and sister. I was like 25, and I would take them to the mall, and we would mannequin model. We would just get into the display.
You would pretend that you're a mannequin? That's so fun.
So we'd sneak into the displays of all the we'd get kicked out, but we'd sneak into the displays of, like, the different, like, Contempo or Express or whatever, and we would just freeze in the window
And then how, and did people stop and look at you? Did you fool anybody?
Yes, yes. And they were at that time they were like probably like 9 or 10.
Oh my gosh, what a good influence you were. That's so fun
Yeah.
though, because I mean, like, really, who is it
Yeah.
harming? It's not harming
Not
anybody.
harming anyone.
No, it's not like you're taking
Yeah.
them to teach them how to shoplift or, you know, it's it's just going and having fun.
I had no filter and but I used to be a mannequin model.
Oh, did you
So
really?
yeah.
So you
So
knew
that
what you were
got me.
doing.
I knew what I was doing.
That's amazing. Where did you mannequin model?
I um I worked for this boutique in the mall and it was
Mhm.
like kind of like really high end stuff. I was 16 and they would farm us out to other stores to mannequin model. And sometimes it would be like we would just be like in the middle. Like I did casual corner and I would just put on their clothes and I would stand on a pedestal. And you would have fun. So you would just be like, and then you switch your eyes or something because people thought you were fake. I mean, they thought you were a mannequin.
That's
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Have you ever
Trying to think
seen
a
mannequin
real
models?
like yeah, I'm trying to think. I've seen them on the computer, on
Mm.
TV, but I don't know that I've ever seen them in real life. I don't know if that was something that Canada did.
I did like casual corner and Pacific Sunwear. And
Oh, that's fun. I don't know any of those stores that you're talking about,
oh,
but
okay.
no, I do know Express. Express was one that I do
Yeah.
recognize, but
Well, Express, I just offered my services
oh,
with my
really?
with my brother and
Hey.
sister.
Oh,
Yeah.
did you really? Okay. So you
And
weren't
they
getting paid for that one. That was just volunteer work.
yeah. And they're adopted. Like, oh, it was just oh my god. It was
That's
did crazy stuff with them. I was just because I just had this idea that people should be free and expressive. And
oh,
of course, I'm still like that.
of
But
course
I
you are still like that. You're incredibly like that. I am so not like that. I agree. I 100% agree people need to be free. And that's something that's just like so close to my heart and something that I really want. But I can't say that I live in that freedom. I'm very, I'm, I'm learning to be much less serious. But
Mhm.
I was always accused of being so serious.
What
Just
would you do if you were free? What would you wanna do? What like, because
oh,
that's
I would
what
not be
freedom is,
living
is
here. I would not be living here. I'd be down in Mexico. I'd be in Mexico like yesterday. I That's where I want to live. And
mhm,
I'm definitely I'm getting connected with my freedom because since I left Christianity and I've been developing these psychic mediums, like doing the Akashic
mhm,
records and learning about all of this stuff, I feel like it's connecting to my inner truth so much more, and it gives me unbelievable joy, like just
yeah,
off the charts joy to do this with
mm,
people
that's
and
amazing. That's
and to
freedom.
that is freedom, like to hear people's feedback um from doing there was like even when I'm doing initially doing the readings, and I want to do another one with you because I know that was a tough
Yeah,
day for me. That was just a tough day and I wasn't in the right, but anyways, just even the immediate responses that I'm getting, like when I'll say something, they'll be like, oh, that that's me, right? Like, or that's something that I just said to somebody, or that's,
yeah,
very connected to who I am, right? And so it just the resonation, like that just resonates with them. And it's just amazing. And it's so funny because I'll put up these stories. I have a friend that I'm doing a reading with tomorrow, and I actually haven't seen her in, oof, I don't know, 14 years. She was one of the young she was one of the young women that were in a youth group that I used to help lead in the church that we went to. And she's just completely come into herself and her truth. And so she messaged me when I offered to do these readings. She messaged me and she's like, I want to do one. I love that you're doing this. And now every time I put up a story on my Instagram talking about the Akashic Records, she messages me. She goes, LeAnne, you just light up when you talk about it. And
Yeah.
it's so obvious, that you found
Yeah.
yourself. And it's just like, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
true.
That
I
is
love it
amazing. And
so much.
that's so brave of her too, to not talk to you for 14 years. And I mean, so, where I'm about expression and stuff, this is an area where I have issues with. Like, it's hard for me to connect with people from a while. It's hard for
Right.
me to connect with people, period. Like,
Hmm.
I'm not good at that. Like, I don't
Well,
really
I
have.
can say that you are very good at it with me. I think that we
Well,
have a
you're
really
special.
amazing, I am,
Yeah.
no, I think we have just an amazing connection, an amazing bond.
Yeah.
Like I just delight in you so much. But this
Oh.
friend, we connected on Instagram a few years ago, and so I started following her, and she followed me, and
Okay.
then
Oh,
just
I
shared a
see.
little bit of my, my journey out. It was like, out of Christianity and stuff, and she shared
Mhm.
some of hers, and and so then, yeah, so we've been connected on Instagram. So it's just not just like brand new that she just all of a sudden got in touch with me, but
Yeah. Mm.
yeah. So
Well,
I'm pardon?
like, I don't know, I've just been thinking a lot, just kind of examining. I'm always examining things, but but maybe not going deep enough. And like, that's the message I got. You told me but to get in the dirt, like go down in here, like, yeah. And so, so that has definitely had an impact on me. I've been really
Awesome.
thinking. I mean, yeah,
It's
just
go ahead.
you go ahead.
I was going to say it's a challenge to get out of our head. Like it really is a
Mhm.
challenge to get out of our head and get down and kind of turn our thoughts off, right?
Yeah.
Our busy minds off because we want to reason things out, right? But so
Mhm. I
our
do.
and yeah, and so this the psychic and those fields are
Mhm.
not mind fields, right? They're
Yeah.
just not. They're different sensories, and so
Yeah.
it's just to be able to get the full effect or the full message, right? It just our minds will reason it away or go in a completely wrong different direction. So
Yeah.
so that's why it's just like so important to try and get inside.
I
But
should be good at it
and you
because
are. I think it's just that
because
you start thinking that you're not.
maybe. When I was a kid, one of part of my weirdness is I was slow to talk. I was slow to read, and then when I would eventually talk, I was talking in paragraphs. And when I eventually read, I was, like, I went from like not reading to like eighth grade level.
Yeah.
Um, but because of that, I feel like I spent a lot of time in the nonverbal space.
Mhm.
I'm obviously thinking and experiencing life. I have memories, but
Mhm.
they weren't qualified by
Right.
words, you know?
Right.
And so, like, I should, and I feel like I kind of, maybe it's, maybe it's, maybe the problem is I can't. So you experience something wordlessly, but if you're to explain it to somebody else, you need the words, and maybe I just can't get the words at all. The words are just not.
Mhm.
It's not about words.
Yeah. Yeah. I can
I
relate to that so much. Yeah.
yeah. I used to write poetry. Poetry really helps for that because poetry is
Mhm.
literally that. It's literally like putting down in words what has never been put to words before, you
Mhm.
know? It's
Yeah,
really
and that's
good.
what my journaling has done for me. It's been able to help me clarify, right?
Yeah.
Because like so many, like I haven't, like one of my experiences is when I really started getting disillusioned with church, when I was really struggling with being at church and the whole process of church, the guilt and the shame, because I was just like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Right? It's
Yeah.
just like I need something's wrong with me. Nothing's wrong with the system, obviously.
Mhm.
It's something's wrong with me. And so you're just always in this place of not feeling like, well, that you're just always wrong, that you need to fix. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until a number of years in that somebody's kind of started talking about um, just the what's the word, like things like things didn't add up at church, right? Like things,
Yeah.
they just didn't add up. It's like they're saying this but then that, and the Bible says this but then that, and so there was just a lot of dichotomy. There was just like a lot of inequality, like
Hypocrisy.
hypocrisy, but
Yeah.
it was just like it was
I know
just
what you're talking about. I know the word.
I can't think of a word, but anyways, and it wasn't until somebody started putting things into words for me that
Mhm.
I was just like, oh, that's what I'm feeling. Yes, that's what I'm feeling. Like it's not me. It's because these things aren't measuring up. Like they're
Yeah.
unequal. Like there's dissension. There's problems. There's you know um, why can't we come up with a
Like, I
word?
know can't think of the word.
But anyways, and it was
It's
just
two
and
ideas that cancel each other out.
basically,
Yeah.
and
Contradiction. Contradiction?
there's so many contradictions.
Yeah.
Yes. And so it wasn't until other people put it into words that all of a sudden it just went, oh, and it sat with me. I'm just like, yes. So it's
Yeah.
not me. It's not me. I'm picking up on things, but I can't put it into words.
So
I'm
other
picking
people
stuff
like
up.
Eve was framed or like Richard Dawkins or
There's
like
so many of them that I found
yeah.
later in my journey,
Mhm.
but it was just I've been the same way. I'm very sensory. Like I'll feel something, right? And
Mhm.
hear, and then I'd just be like, and then I become very like resistant, like stubborn, right? And so I just stopped going to church. Just like, I can't do it. I don't know what's
Yeah.
wrong with me, but I just can't sit there, right? And I would say, well, why does he get to, whatever, and whatever it might be. I was just like, no, can't do it. And so
Yeah.
there's this resistance, but I couldn't put it into words why the resistance was there. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I understand that whole process of not being able to put words to things. That was a long way of
Right.
saying I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've had yeah, some of it can be yeah. I'm I'm very bad at sometimes putting words to things. Like I try to explain things, especially when someone's being a little domineering,
Mhm.
then I have some social anxiety there. Yeah. But that's a
And then I
different
always come up
thing.
with a great answer later when we're not in the
Right.
situation. They're just like, damn it, when this is in.
Things that are buried come out. Um, you realize you're smarter than you thought you were.
Hmm.
And
And that
I
you're
don't
not
drink.
actually broken. That there's
Yeah.
not, you're not really broken.
Yeah.
And that you don't need fixing. That's something that I've had to come to terms with because I'm brought up like you just like fix. I just need fixing. I need that needs to be
Yeah.
fixed. I need to correct that. I need to fix it. And so I've spent my whole life in this fix it mode, whether it's my
Yeah.
weight, whether it's my thoughts, whether it's my beliefs, whether it's my attitude, whether it's my
Well,
thighs. It's like
we were we were um, delivered a load of shit when we came of age, with all
Mhm.
these things that were wrong with women, and it's still happening.
Mhm.
And it's actually like out in the social media, social interwebs.
In the
you
interwebs.
you really see it. Like there are people who are just terrible now. Absolutely, like these incels, these guys who are who you know will say like Taylor Swift is not an alpha because she's not a mother or something, like that kind of
Right. Yeah.
like the um and that never existed before. I don't think it's such I mean it's a problem. I mean it's not a problem for me because these guys are losers. I mean, they're just
Mhm.
losers and these ideas that they're just upset because they're losing, you know, and they're trying to lash out and they're just hurt and sad and they want to hurt us.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, they wanna blame somebody, so it's all blame shifting. It's
it's
like,
all
"It's not
blame
my
shifting.
problem,
Yeah,
it's yours." If women did what they were supposed to do, then my
yeah,
life would be better.
yeah. They call
It's
that they lack an inner locus of control. Everything is totally externalized. All these people who are blaming feminism, like because they're here in the states, people are there is some talk about getting rid of the 19th Amendment, which is the amendment that gave women the right to vote in the 20s.
I'm sorry, they're talking
And
about getting rid of that?
it will never happen, but yeah, but there are now people who are so emboldened to even there's even a woman. There are even women who say it
Oh,
like,
yeah,
"Oh,
I don't doubt it.
Men like men are supposed to be the head of the household, and that's the hierarchical structure that is supposed to be woven throughout society up, and nobody has direction because men are not the head of the household. And tell the 19th Amendment, then the men will represent the whole family and they will be the head of the house. It's just so
Yeah,
stupid.
I
And
have seen that.
women crazy ideas, yeah, are crazy, whatever. Um, I mean, because the men who talk about this are more into dominating culture. They're not into the partnership culture. That's what we want.
Mhm.
When we say get rid of the patriarchy, it's not like let's make an evil queen to dominate over everybody.
No,
It's let's be partners. Let's create a partnership society versus the domination society,
exactly.
they which they have going. But when people say that it's feminist, if we didn't have feminism, none of this happened. And I like to tell them that, okay, well, let's go back in time to the Christian temperance movement,
Right.
to those women who were Christians, who were good Christian women. They were tired of their husbands coming home drunk
Drunk.
and spending all the money for the household and abusing their children and whatever. Those were the women who paved the way for the suffragettes, who paved the way for the feminists, who paved the way for all of it. Like,
Yeah.
and what was the cause of that? Well, drunk men. But we
Yeah.
don't have to just slant. We don't have to stop there because it's an infinite regress. It goes back, 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 back. You
Mhm.
cannot blame one thing, and the problem
Without
with
yeah.
yeah, and the problem with feminists is it's their problem. It's not our problem. It's their problem because they have they there's a lot of men who figured out this game. They will not figure out the game. They don't they just like the privilege that they've always had where they would never that they would always have some level of status as long as women and minorities were subjugated. But now they that's not their natural birthright anymore, and they're pissed about
Mhm.
it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that is, to be expected, right?
Yeah.
To be
Mhm.
expected because nobody likes to have that power, taken away from them. Nobody likes to
Right.
have their own freedoms challenged.
Yeah.
It's just like basically they don't want to be treated the way they've been treating everybody else. And
Right.
that just speaks volumes about how they've been treating everybody else.
I
It's
know,
just like, I
and
don't
they're
wanna be one
afraid.
of those. It's like, right, because you treat them like crap?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and they're afraid we're gonna do the same to them,
and that's not the
and
intention.
that's not the intention, but it's hard when they're constantly coming at you, telling you that you're
Mhm.
worthless, telling you,
Mhm.
that what's your body count or whatever. Um,
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, things are going to go in the more progressive direction.
Mhm.
That's how they always go. The only way they won't is if there's war and a dictator and that type of
Yeah.
thing. It's always ebbs and flows. Women get more freedom, and then the domination, then they take it away. That's what kind of freaks me out, and I don't know how to stop that. I don't know how to stop that from
I think
happening.
it's I think the thing is that it's not focusing on how to stop, it's how to keep progressing. It's that it's
Yeah.
putting yourself into that positive energy of what do I want to see. It's not like not what I don't
Mhm.
want to see. I don't want to see this happen, because the more you put your attention on what you don't want, that's what keeps happening.
Yeah.
So getting that positive energy into saying, okay, what progress do I want to experience? What do I want for the next generation? And then just keep walking in that and keep moving in that, because if you keep looking back and fighting, that'll keep you in that stagnant place.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's that progression
Right.
of stepping forward, constantly stepping forward. And it's like, this is the direction I want. This is the vision that I
Yeah.
have. That's the future I want to see. Right. And I think that is the problem, is because there's such I mean, there's such a push to keep you in that fight, right, with these people, men and women, who just want, who want to keep, you know make America great again.
Yeah. Right.
Let's go
Well, it's
back, let's
actually
keep things how they were. And it's just, and so when they're fighting for that, you want to
let's get
fight
back to the
back.
old propaganda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you want to
But
fight
it's on
that,
both
but
sides.
it can go both sides. And so it's a
Sorry.
distraction, because it's
Sorry.
not.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
distraction, because it's not
Yeah.
progressing. It's keeping you stagnant. It's keeping you in that fight. So the most
Yeah.
important thing that you can do is keep envisioning what it is that you
Mhm.
want, and keep being that person, being that feminist that says, no, I want a partner. This is how I'm going to partner. And I'm going to look for
Yeah.
partners. I'm going to look for partners in the feminine and in the masculine. And I'm going to look for partners that are in agreement with me. And then you build
Yeah.
strength that way,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think that's important. Like we want partners, and I mean, even on the left, they're not always realizing like that in a marriage, you build a partnership, and on the left, they even tend to be like kind of tearing that apart as well. We're
Mm.
never going to get the partnership if it's being torn asunder by both sides. Um, I mean, so we have these gross guys, trolls on social media, but we also have our knights in shining armor,
Yeah.
and we need to lean into those guys.
Exactly. And it's like, and so it's following them, it's cheering them on, it's appreciating them, and
Yeah,
and being a part of that team, being a part
yeah,
of that voice, right?
hmm,
And that's where change really
yeah,
happens, right? The change
yeah.
that you want to see happen. So,
Hmm. My complaint on the other side, if you go on the left, is there are these feminist influencers, and they'll give you a laundry list of all these things that if your man is doing this, he's a man child. If your man is doing this, he's a man child. If your man is doing this, it's like a long list.
right.
Yeah, and there's this one I actually unfollowed her because I literally think she's trying to break up people. But I looked at this list and I was like, I'm a man child because there's no way that I keep up with all of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't do all of this. Like, where's the grace?
Yeah.
Come on. Like, this is
Yeah.
if are we getting into marriage that we have someone to do all of everything that's on our list.
Yeah. Is this
That's
exactly? Is this a mutual, symbiotic relationship?
yeah,
And I know it's just like some of those things I find ridiculous too. It's like, and then the other thing is just like, how are you partnering with that? How are you agreeing to it? It's just like
yeah,
you grow together. Like Sam and I
yeah.
were married as babies,
Mhm.
and we're
Yeah.
37 and a half years in here,
Wow, that's
and
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you do a ton
We
of
still love
changing
each
and
other.
growing. And we do
Yeah.
love each other, but
It's fun to grow together.
it is fun to grow
Yeah.
together. It's freaking hard to grow together in some
Yeah.
areas, because
Mhm.
you get into because when you do life together for so long, you develop grooves, like these deep, like when you see, these dirt roads that like tractors or trucks go up
Oh,
and
that's
down
a
and up and
good
down, and
analogy,
you've got
okay.
these deep grooves, and to try and
Yeah.
get out of those grooves, you really have to, you know,
Yeah.
turn the
Yeah.
wheel really hard sometimes. And so after you've done life for so long, those grooves become, yeah, harder and harder to move out of without great
Yeah.
intention and agreement
Right.
together that we're going to change this, and
Yeah.
recognition that those things need to change or whatever. But yeah,
I could
it's
I could think of couple times where we've had to get out of grooves like that, and that's such a great metaphor. I love that.
yeah,
Yeah. I kinda
yeah.
wanna, like, think that through, there's a storm, and then you go through on the road after the storm, and you create these grooves.
Well, sometimes then you don't see the grooves, right? Because they're covered
Yeah,
in water or whatever, and then you just
right.
start driving down the road, then all of a sudden, thunk, you back down into these grooves. It's like, I thought we weathered this storm and now we're gonna do things differently. It's like, nope, we're back in the grooves.
Yeah.
Back in the ruts. No.
And the
But
other thing about, like, of men come from our own, um, problematic situations. Like, like, a lot of women get really upset when men don't pick up after themselves, right? They're like, "Why don't you see that? Why don't you see that?" And the reason why we might see that is because of the way that we've been conditioned. We've been
mhm,
conditioned. It's another form of self objectification that extends to our house.
mhm.
We must be pretty, and our house must be pretty. So we've
Yeah,
been trained to that,
absolutely.
and to put that and and so when women complain about their husbands not seeing that, what we're kind sometimes like it's almost like complaining that they don't have the same condition
Yeah,
that we have, which
yeah.
is not really a good condition. Like my husband leaves his socks on the floor. I don't pick them up. I just there's socks on the floor, and it's okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's choosing your battles too, right? It's like how it's adding significance to situations. It's like, like some women, some people, I won't even just say women, but some people will say he left the socks on the floor. I've told him that upsets me. So he's doing it intentionally. He knows damn well that hurts me, that upsets me. And now he
Yeah,
keeps doing that. And so then you start taking it personally rather than just going, oh, he forgot his socks on the floor. It's nothing personal.
yeah,
He just doesn't
right,
look at it the same way,
yeah,
and that's another huge thing. It's just like you said, are we angry because they don't have our conditioning, right?
yeah.
And it's just like I think I talked about this last time. This one influencer, this one girl, and she was sitting there eating with her husband, right? He had a
Mhm.
bowl of chips or something, and she had a bowl, and she was just sitting there marveling at the fact that he could just eat them without
Yes,
even,
I
like
remember that, yeah.
snarf, snarf, snarf,
Yeah.
and and he doesn't have the same conditioning. And it's just like, wow, I wish I had that conditioning, right?
Yeah.
Or lack of
Right.
conditioning that I could just freely eat without worrying
Yeah.
about weight gain or looking like a pig
Right.
is this healthy or not or whatever, you know? And so it's just, when it comes to those relationship things and everything, it's what kind of condition, like what kind of significance are you placing on this? Are you making it personal, or are you just allowing it to just be something,
Yeah.
right?
Right, and I could see how it could be how it could feel personal, like, if
Oh,
this matters to me
absolutely.
and you don't do what matters to me. Um, I think though, uh, I think my husband probably like, you don't if they're already doing something, you don't notice it because it's not a problem, you know?
Right.
And I do have an issue with clutter, but it has nothing to do with being, um, my value. It's just I can't make order. I can't if there's
Right.
clutter. I can't,
Right.
and he's really good about not cluttering up my spaces.
Right.
You know?
See, I'm a clutter maker. I'm not
Uh-huh.
I don't have a cluttery space, but in
Yeah.
my little spaces, like as I sit here right now looking at the
Mhm.
coffee table in front of me, I have a necklace, a pair of earrings, my pendulum, a
Mhm.
journal, a pen, nail file, a cup of tea, and glass of water, a cup of water. And that's
Yeah.
all. And on Sam's side, there's these for him to put his cup on. That's
Okay.
it. He's got not, and that's always how it is.
Mm.
My side
Well,
of everything has all of my stuff. Like I just have little
see,
piles of
same with
stuff.
Michael. Michael has a pile of stuff. I would have, like, a little bit of something, but right now I'm cluttered because I'm in creative mode, and
Oh.
so because I've been working on a video and, like, it's a mess because 'cause I'm just like, "Whoosh, whoo," like, rushing to the next thing, like, the kitchen's a mess, everything's a mess, so, yes, I can definitely be a clutter maker. I
Right.
am, like and I've always been, like, one to leave drawers open, cabinet doors open, everything open.
See, and I'm not. I'm not that. My mom was. My mom would leave cupboard doors open and drawers open, and I would follow her around the kitchen and close them. It's like, Mom, close these.
Yeah,
But no,
I
I'm
can't when I'm here alone, I'm just like and I yell at myself like I'm someone like I'm my own roommate. I'm like,
right.
"What is wrong with you? You
Put
almost
that
died."
away.
Yeah, if you hit your head on this cabinet and you're all alone, you might just die. You know?
That reminds me it reminds me of my a story, my, sister-in-law when her and her well, my Sam's brother, when they were I think they were just engaged because they had a very quick whirlwind of a romance, but she's quite short and he's quite very tall, and, she said, "I don't know," like, he would come over to her place and she's like, "I don't know. I find it really endearing how he just leaves the cupboard doors open and I have to go and close them." Thankfully, most of the time she just walked right underneath them. They didn't, they weren't too,
Yeah.
but she's like, and so I just go and close them. And she goes, I just find it endearing. And I said to her, I said, after you get married, I said, just wait for it. That endearing. I said, you're going to want to take that cupboard and you're going to want to brain him with it. It's like, shut the damn cupboard, right? And it was true. It was like after they got married, she goes,
Oh.
he keeps the doors open. He doesn't close the cupboards. I'm like, yeah, I know.
In his defense, though, it's an affliction. It cannot be cured. There's no cure to it. That's why that's why I don't have cupboards
Cupboard
on
doors on the top.
well, I like, yeah, everything is open. I keep everything open except for those cupboards down below, because
So
I
you
need
mean
to
you
see
keep them open or you don't have doors on them?
don't have doors on them.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, my
I
sister's
mean,
that way. She doesn't like upper cupboard doors. And my mom actually
yeah,
took off a lot of her upper cupboard doors too. I can't handle it. It's just like, nope, they need to be closed. Put all of that, like that it's just too busy for my eyes.
yeah,
So it's like I just need the nice clean cupboard doors closing. And I mean, I keep my cupboards pretty neat, but at the same
yeah,
time it's just like it's too looks too cluttery. Is that weird?
yeah.
Like I'm the little clutter bug in
Well,
my
I
little
mean, I get
space,
it.
but I like to keep things neat and organized.
I like all the stuff on my shelves. Like I kind of like that whole,
I can
maximalist.
appreciate that in other people's homes. Like I can appreciate that in your homes. I can appreciate that in my sisters and my mom's,
Yeah,
but for my own home,
yeah.
I can't,
It's not your aesthetic.
it's not my aesthetic.
Be
No.
clean.
Just keep it all simple.
I'm the one in the flower dress. So I was thinking when I wore this, it's date night, and I like to wear my tulip dress as much as I can
It's
in
pretty.
spring. I got it in Amsterdam, and I
Oh,
got it after hanging out in Alsace for a while and like seeing all these women just in the small little villages with all the flowers. We're wearing house dresses like this, and I was like, that seems like practical. Like you're ready to go anywhere, you're ready to go out, but you can be in your house. And I don't know, I just liked it. But I was thinking about, so I'm working on this video right now where I'm going to do a fashion show of like my thrifted items, but it's going to be themed like inner child, which is almost, I don't know, maybe it'll just be my recent thrifted things that I got, but I won't
right.
talk about the inner child because it all is like everything I wear is kind of inspired by my inner child. Um, but yeah, so when I put this on, I thought like because I do watch fashion stuff, I do kind of pay attention to that, even though I break the rules all the time. It's not like I don't know what's going on. I actually do, but I break the rules. I like to thrift. I like to
Hmm.
choose my own colors, not the Pantone color of the year. I just like that creativity. It's very fun and it's very inexpensive. But one of the things that we're not supposed to do over a certain age, or even now, it's just not in style, although it did come back for a moment, is
Right.
match our jewelry, match our dress, match everything, be matchy matchy. That's like not cool. That is
Oh,
aging. It makes you look older and da 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 da. Well, today I said fuck that, and I and I'm wearing
good.
tulips head to toe. These are kind of like a tulip. I'm matching my earrings. I'm matching everything. Just all tulips, and I think it looks good.
There you go. If you're happy with it, then who cares? Who cares? Aw, really?
Yeah.
I'll have to, I mean, I know honestly that if I asked my inner child what she wanted to wear, she'd be in a tutu.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I won't wear a tutu. So, like, I can pretend and imagine,
Yeah.
but
Well, okay, that's the difference between your inner child and my inner child is that my inner child, if I were to wear if I were to, what my inner child, I don't even know what my inner child would want to wear. My inner child did dance. I think she'd
right,
be in a cape. She would wear a cape. She liked capes.
right,
And that was her thing. But because I've kind of kept my inner child alive, my inner child has actually grown up too.
right. I think
So,
I like that. And I actually, like I was thinking about this beforehand, before
mhm,
we got on, because we had talked about talking about inner child stuff. And it's like, I think that's why I like wearing makeup
mhm,
so much, right? And I don't apologize for it. It's
yeah.
just like I like doing my face. I like wearing makeup. I like doing that, and I think that that's something that I remember. I just saw a recent little clip of Dolly Parton talking about this
Ah.
this woman who lived in their town when she was a little girl, And she was a bit of a, I don't know, I can't remember,
She
a
was the
a
town
hussy.
tramp.
She
She
was
was
a
the
town
town
tramp,
tramp.
and exactly. And Dolly was just like, oh, but she's so beautiful, like she's got her blonde hair and her bright makeup, and she'd wear those skin tight dresses and everything. And Dolly's like, I want to be her when I grow up, right? And I think that's part of my little thing is just like with my makeup. It's just like, I know I've always admired that in movie stars. And, when I was little, I
Yeah.
wanted to be a movie star when I grew up. I wanted to
Glamorous.
be glamorous and beautiful and do my hair and have my makeup and, you know, and so maybe that's just me honoring my inner child too. I don't know. That,
Yeah, that's so cute.
yeah.
I wanted to be Jane Goodall.
Oh, did
But
you?
she didn't wear makeup,
No,
but
she did not. She still doesn't.
yeah,
Is she still
I don't
alive?
think
Yeah, she just had
she's
her
still
90th
alive.
90th birthday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's awesome.
amazing.
But I wear makeup all the time because I like it. I like the way like like wolves and foxes have eyeliner
Mhm.
because it makes them expressive. Like,
Mhm.
so I like being expressive.
Mhm.
And I just like the way it looks. I'm okay not wearing makeup, but I like the way it looks. Makeup is a power. Like it's been used against us. Like it's become beauty duty, but it's also a power. Uh, like I mean, more and more men are wearing makeup just
Mhm.
because that is a tool. It just I don't know. It's a power
Mhm.
because we can shape shift.
Exactly. We can alter our appearances.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, this is like a total like tangent, but you know what? That's what this whole thing is about.
Mhm.
We're not talking,
Mhm.
and we can go off on other
Another
tangents.
thread.
Another thread and we understand each other. Like there's no
Absolutely.
men here, so we understand each other. We don't have to simplify it for the men, so we
Nope.
can actually follow these threads.
Exactly.
So and this is a major departure, but I was thinking about AI, where AI
Mhm.
is going, and um, so does manage to if AI does manage, if something happens with AI and we end up in a situation where, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just thinking about, you're like,
I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm trying to track, but I'm
I,
listening.
I'm wondering if in the past something happened where, like, very much like AI, like if that
Right.
ever happened. This is so Edgar Casey stuff,
So you're talking about like simulations.
simulations, like maybe we're a simulation.
Yeah.
And maybe we're creating a new simulation,
Yeah.
and we're going to be the old gods, and the new simulation is going to be the new people, the new humans or whatever.
Mhm.
And in the beginning, those new people will be able to manage the technology to some degree. They'll be able to
Right.
manage AI or whatever. And I'm thinking, is that magic? Like, will that be the magic? And like, did we once have the ability to kind of tap into the old gods, the old guard, the old technology and stuff, and kind of manipulate it, and then we lost it over time probably because it became illegal or whatever. And like, I'm wondering if that will happen again.
Mhm.
If AI is going to. This is so like such stoner talk.
Are you confessing?
Oh, I've
I'm
sat
not stoned.
I've sat around a good amount of campfires, um, having conversations like this.
Yeah, I find it, I mean, it's fascinating, because there is definitely technology from way back when that we no longer have connection
Yeah.
to. So it got
Mhm.
buried somewhere somehow by someone.
Yeah.
It's like why and who still has that, because it won't disappear completely.
Yeah.
It's been hidden. It's
Yeah.
been kind of sidelined, and people distracted. So yeah, it's interesting, like who knows, where it's all going. And like
Yeah.
depending on your, like there's just like so many different beliefs and thoughts and theories out there, right?
Yeah, we don't really know. We
No, nobody
don't
knows
know.
100% for sure. Some people think they know for sure. And it's just like, I think some people definitely know more than others do, you know.
Yeah. And there's
Um,
people who are in the game of controlling it, or
oh,
trying to control it. Yeah.
absolutely.
And they
Without a
know.
doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Like even within the evangelical Christian church, even the churches, they have a lot of information that's very controlled, you know, and the pastors that are standing. You have asked me that before, and the family. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up again on Netflix. Because I'm not sure if I think I watched the whole thing, but I might be worth looking at it again. But a lot of people who are standing at the pulpit preaching don't necessarily believe what they're preaching, but they just preach it because it pays the bills
Right.
and
Gives them power.
gives them power, gives them, significance, purpose,
Mhm.
because I've heard it. Like I've been friends with these people, and some of them
Yeah.
have said, "Oh, well, I can't, it's so nice that you can go ahead and, believe and talk about whatever you want. I can't do that because I have this congregation that I'm responsible for."
God.
Yeah, so it's like when the preachers
Ah,
aren't believing what they're saying, but they keep saying it
yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
And personally, I don't understand. I think this is kind of in the same vein of what you were talking about, but I personally don't understand how anybody can truly study the Bible and still be tucked into the evangelical Christian church. Like, I don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
like if you're really studying the Bible and you're really getting to know the Bible and you're really recognizing what it is and what it's
Mhm.
saying and what you're preaching and what you're believing, it's like, I don't know how
I
you
need to
stay where you're at.
I need to read the Bible because I haven't studied it or anything. I've just read a few things. I mostly stay in John, you know, and the Gospel of John. It's very kind of, that's just because Quakers like it, but I don't really. I don't know. I mean, I've listened, I've read a few other things. I was really curious about the whole idea of the hierarchy within the family, with the father at the head of the family, if that was really a thing, and it really is a thing. I can't abide by that. You know, coming from, and who was paying him, and like who was he a shell for? You
Right.
know,
um,
it's an influencer, just like we have influencers now, and they get brand deals.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
I know. It's interesting, hey. I mean, just for on the conversation, like just that one top point that you made is just like if you really look into the Bible, there was a lot more equality than what the surface looks like. Like
ah,
there were a lot of very strong women, incredibly
yeah,
strong women, and there was a lot more equality. And I was just talking with one girl last week or the week before, and she was just like, the Bible isn't as transparent as it seems to be, right?
yeah,
Like what she had heard, and I think I've heard this before too, is that some of the Gospels, which are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John,
hmm,
um, some of those were actually written by women, but they changed them to be by men. And
Oh.
then the other thing is about inerrancy. Like, there's a lot of Christians that believe that the Bible is inspired word of God and there's no inerrancy, and it's which it proves itself over and over again that there is a lot of errancy. There's a lot of,
Yeah.
there's a lot of dichotomy. There's a lot of different, like it's not as clear. And then a lot of the writings too were written, a very long time. I can't remember if it's tens, hundreds of years or decades later after
Yeah.
the actual events. And so there's a lot of belief that it's like the telephone game where
Right. Mhm.
it's just like how accurate is it by the very end when
Yeah.
people actually start talking about it. And that's where a person of significance, or like a prophet, becomes a legend. And that's where a lot of people believe that Jesus was a prophet and then he became a legend, right?
Yeah.
Because they said, well, he died and then 3 days later he rose, and then he was ascended up into heaven, and people saw him rise up into the sky, right? And stuff like this. And it's just like, it's what legends are made of, right? how
Yeah.
much is how
Mhm.
much of it is actually accurate. um,
Yeah.
and I'm not a Bible scholar. I
Mhm.
I was raised with a very basic belief of the Bible, right? It's just like that you're basically you don't question it. The
Mhm.
Bible is the final authority. In fact, it became apparent that later it wasn't just we believed in the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, which is God, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But then you really realize it's just like it's actually four. It's God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and Bible. And people worship the Bible more. Four, because people believe it. Well, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and the Bible. The fourth being
Oh.
the Bible. And some people actually believe the Bible more than they do Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, because it's the
Yeah.
written word. So they've got something that they can stand and kind of throw at the Bible now as just something that I just kind of avoid.
Something that what?
I avoid. I just,
Yeah.
I know so much about it, but only, like I said, a very superficial, like I've studied it, but not in depth to learn the
Yeah.
languages, like the original, like in Greek, the original Hebrew, and getting the real exegesis of the scriptures.
Yeah.
And,
We're going to force the sale of TikTok to a non-Chinese, to a non-foreign company,
oh,
or it's going to be banned, and that just happened. And a lot of people, are upset about it. My husband works in the military, and he knows a little bit more about it.
hmm
And I myself have not been allowed to get a TikTok account and he can't because there is spyware.
right.
And excuse me, but it's not just that. And you'll see how this relates to our conversation.
hmm hmm
it's it's that all social media with its algorithm gets to control the narrative. They get to determine which content gets up front, which content gets repressed or
Yeah,
suppressed, and they can actually totally control the story.
absolutely.
And I I liken it to ransom notes where you cut words
All this, yeah, and piece it all together.
and that's what's happened to all of it. And a lot of people will say, well, TikTok is just different than Instagram. I'm like, yes, but it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Why is it different? Because someone's controlling the narrative in a different way.
Yeah.
That's why it's different. Um, so with your with your church, with your knowledge of the Bible, you're basically getting pieces of like someone's narrative pieced from what
Absolutely.
they cut out parts of the Bible to create a
Absolutely.
story to deliver to you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, the whole literal. I believe in the literal translation of the Bible. What is that literal translation? That's just what you call that narrative that someone is giving to you. It's
Yeah.
just another kind of narrative. It's
Yeah.
not literal.
No. No. It's not
Yeah.
literal. It's not inerrant. It's not inspire it's I don't believe it. I mean, maybe there's some inspiration in there, but it's not the inspired word of God. It's not God
Yeah.
writing through humans to write this book that, I mean, yeah, it's been, for me, it was like quite a transition out of it, out
Yeah.
of worshiping the Bible. And now
So,
like I said, I just avoid it now. A
yeah.
lot of ways. I know tons of stories and I know a lot about it, but
So the idea behind Quaker with George Fox, who was one of the founders of Quakerism, was he wanted to go back to the Pentecost,
mm,
to Antioch. So that
mhm.
is kind of the idea. The Quakers is based off of
Mm,
kind of not pre-Bible, pre New Testament. It would have been pre
no,
New Testament.
no. The Pentecost happened in the New Testament.
Oh well, Antioch happened. I mean, it wasn't. I don't know. I mean,
The
it would have been
Pentecost,
just.
right? The Pentecost. I'm sure. Did you have you learned what the Pentecost
No,
was?
no, not
Okay,
really.
that's okay. The Pentecost.
Just I
The
knew
Pentecost.
Antioch.
Right. The Pentecost was what they said. The story is.
I'm sorry, I'm making you do
No,
Bible.
no,
I'm making you teach Bible study.
no. Was this event that happened when flames came and rested on people's heads, and they were given the ability to speak different languages so everybody could understand
Ah.
the gospel story.
Oh, so I just thought like
The
back in
flames,
I
yeah,
thought back in Antioch, the place in the Middle East,
yes.
like kind of
Hmm.
near Egypt, like just something happened, not flames. Just I just
That's
thought it was like
that's
okay.
that's what Pentecost was.
Yeah.
Pentecost was when this supernatural experience happened, and everybody in this gathering, in this whole place, was able to speak in different
So
tongues.
that's why Pentecostals speak in tongues. Oh, wow. Have
Yeah.
you ever have
S-
you ever can
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah. I had a spiritual language. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go
So
figure.
it's, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it's interesting
Because I
because,
mean, that's you're like, that was the best part of
yeah.
it.
Well, that's where the Pentecostals, I mean, like, speaking in tongues is something that is spoken about in a lot of evangelical Christian churches in different ways.
Mhm.
There's a belief that if you're going to speak in tongues, you have to go and see an elder, and if you speak in tongues, there has to be, if it's real in tongues, there has to be an interpreter. So somebody has to know what it is that you're saying.
Of
Mm,
course.
right? Because it does sound, will just sound like gibberish. There's
Yeah.
some people who believe that you can't have the infilling of the Holy Spirit without having speaking in tongues. That all this Christian jargon, the infilling of the Holy Spirit. Um, just having Jesus in your heart isn't enough. You need to have infilling of the Holy Spirit too, and then
Yeah.
you're a real Christian. That's what Pentecostals believe. Um, Speaking in tongues takes on a different look in different evangelical Christian churches. Some people just believe it's a prayer language, And
Mhm.
so it's like it's a heavenly language that when you're praying it, you're connecting with a different spiritual realm, or you're connecting straight to heaven, and you've got this, right? And so it's not that you need to have an interpretation. It's just like when you're praying, you can just go into that
Mhm.
prayer language. So yeah, but that's Pentecost was when that first
Oh,
happened.
I'm gonna have to look that up, the whole anti-Pentecost connection, because it also makes sense that, because Quakers don't not speak in tongues, they speak in plain language, but there is the infilling and the, standing
Yeah.
up and gi
Yeah, and being
giving
able to
testimony.
connect, giving
Yeah.
testimony and being connected to the
Mhm.
spirit. So you're hearing that, you know, that that
Yeah.
message that's not just from your head.
Mhm.
That's cool.
Well, maybe we should
Well,
it's been a
that's a great
while.
place to end on.
I
That's your
know.
Bible teaching
But
for the
thank
day,
you.
children. Well, next week
That's
we're going to
funny.
talk about we're going to talk about Revelations, and we're going to talk
Sorry.
about the second coming of Christ.
I thought it was interesting. I'm just curious.
No, no, no.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to
okay.
belittle. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to
No,
make
no,
fun or
no.
belittle.
My
Um,
inner child was
I'm
curious.
so my inner child is going into trauma. Don't talk about the Bible, Leanne. Oh, that's where I learned that I was going to hell. So,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, I don't think you are.
I know I'm not. So,
Uh,
all good.
I I think you're going to Candyland.
Okay. I'm good with that. Yay.
All right.
Oh, we've been chatting a
Well,
long time.
yeah, we've been chatting for almost 80 minutes. I can't see
80?
you very yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, almost 80
76.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, an hour and
You have so much
17. It's been good. I have been doing, and I want to do more. I'm
and
bring them on. Bring them on. I want more people. So I'm going to start.
yeah.
I'm talking to my Akashic records about when to start charging and
Yeah.
start making a
That's
business of this,
awesome.
because I love it so much that this is doing it for free is awesome, but I really believe that there's a monetary value, that there's an exchange there.
Yeah. How should
That
people contact you?
on Instagram. My Instagram is the best
Okay.
place, yeah, to
Okay.
contact me.
I'll put a link down there for LeAnne's
Okay,
Instagram.
that'd be awesome. Message me
Are
and we'll
you
set up a time.
are you buying a house?
No,
Oh, okay. I mean an
no.
apartment, I meant.
I know we didn't
Yeah.
put an offer in. We totally
Yeah.
decided that that was not what we wanted. Our hearts are in Mexico. We want to buy down in Mexico, and we felt like this was just the wrong step in that direction. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So, we're still looking for a place to live, though. We're,
Yeah.
we're still going to be homeless next week. So, no, we
Next
aren't.
week? No, because your kids won't kick you out.
They won't. I mean, I don't think Audrey comes back until the later in the month. I
Yeah.
don't want to say exactly because that's none of my business to share, but we want to be out by May 1st anyways. So we'll
Yeah.
see if we can be out by May 1st. That's great.
Well, I'm looking forward to see your new place.
Thanks. So am I.
I know.
Anyways, it's been fun chatting with you
Yeah, it's
today.
been so
I love
fun.
you, friend.
I love you too.
Okay,
And
thanks everybody for joining.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Go be show. Oh, take off. I have to end it with my middle